So that, like our modern charts, the computer charts, they're useful. They give you all the technical information. You intellectually can work it, can see things clearly, what the symbols are, where they are, can work with it. And sometimes you have to work a little harder. The information is here on these color charts, but it allows a whole nother level of talking and going at it that's not just, you're not restricted just by the mental analysis. Here, the Vatican City, this is the Northern Hemisphere, the two Northern Hemisphere charts, Gemini, Vatican City, and the Pope from the Southern Hemisphere coming in, who's the Sagittarius from afar. But his philosophy and his outlook was diametrically opposed to the independent way. It's always done this way. This is the way we do in the Vatican. You have to do it this way. And the individuals, the independents of Vatican saying, this is our style, this is how we do it. And he's saying, wait a second, I don't know if I want to ride in the Pope mobile. I want to take a cab or I want to take a taxi. Like, it's different. The instant threat. And it took a long time for this to work out, but that was there. So if you took them as a, okay, if you go to the southern, if you go the other way, it's the Northern Hemisphere charts. If you go to the Southern Hemisphere charts, Pope Francis is the Vatican. So, okay, the first one was, okay, let's just go back here a second. Pope Francis's influence on the Vatican was the Sagittarian philosophy and outlook, challenging the independent stance of the Vatican and its judgments and its rules. It's independent rules, not, and he's had to deal with the sex scandals and things, and he's having to go in and change the freedom of anybody being a pope or anybody being the Vatican having a free ticket, and made more social conscious because the world was becoming aware of this and was diminishing. So you can see he's coming in opposing that, even though it wasn't in the cards. You can see the opposition to begin with. See how he's influenced the Vatican. When you want to see how the Vatican influences him, you have to do the Vatican Southern Hemisphere chart. So he's the Gemini relating Sun, Jupiter in the seventh house. Everyone likes it. It's no, sixth house it is. He's being of service. His moon's in the eighth. No, moon's in the seventh. Moon, Venus in the seventh. So he's really liked, appreciated, and where he's ready to work hard for. That's sixth. That's moon's in the sixth. He's of service in the best way. He's related to very easily. And so we'll see this in a second. But in his relating to people, the Vatican, the first is you can't just stay in. You can't just stay in Vatican. You can't just go back to run this from Buenos Aires. You're going to have, even with computers, you're going to have to do it here. You're going to have to be here. You're going to have to follow orders. You're going to have to fit in a bit. So they had, just as he influenced the Vatican with a Sagittarian understanding and overview of how it can't be so limiting and restrictive. The Vatican did that to him on his personal way. In his personal way, in the Southern Hemisphere chart, it was forcing him to adjust his independent lifestyle to fit in with the team. Something he wasn't that well suited to, but he did. Not without its conflicts or sparks. So this is the charts reverse. So you just do two charts and you cross on the computer and you take two charts of each and you just change the one and it's not that out of reach. No, it's more complicated if you're just working with the computer because the computers aren't doing this yet. They should. No reason why some of these bigger computer programs don't do a Southern Hemisphere chart. There's enough people buying programs in the Southern Hemisphere. Okay, transits, next factor. We're almost done. Transits, you have to stay in the system. You can't avoid Saturn opposing your Sun by traveling to the Northern Hemisphere. It will still oppose your Sun. Even though to everyone else it's in the opposite sign, it's still going to be, you're changing the outer system, but the inner thing and the you that's reacting, it stays in the same. They don't change because you move from one hemisphere to the other. Okay, and that's basically with the transits. So you work with the transits from the natal chart, from where they start, how they work around, how they move around. And that's it. You change hemisphere, it's still going around your chart the same way. You're just in an environment that's slightly tilted to how much it might affect how you're doing things, but not the challenges or the nature of the transits. And progressions we haven't touched yet. We're working on this. Progressions, of course, stay in the same system. They will naturally, if you're Cancer, it will naturally go up to be the Leo, and then go into the Virgo. It's going to progress to the next 3 or 4 signs. It'll maintain its continuity. It can't jump or change to another sign or symbol. So this is some of progress charts. This is already advanced. It takes the Pope's chart and takes his this isn't the Pope's chart. Not that one isn't. 1 second. Gemini, yeah, that's wrong. The first sheet was wrong. We can do that. Okay, there we go. See, I did the form wrong. The form is, it says, oh no, it's right, it's in Gemini. Oh, it's correct. Sorry. Getting tired. Okay, so here's the sun in Gemini. It's in the pentan. I haven't got to them yet, of Virgo. But it has the pentans, it has the hexagrams, has the lines of the hexagrams, it has the stars in the sky, these chart forms, and you watch the progress sun moving along when it changes sign. Just going to show you a glimpse of this for a moment. But even though you've measured so much with transits, there's a lot of inner richness with the progressions. Here the progressions progress on from, what would it be, about age? So 1, 2, 3, 4. From age 4 up to about 34, his progress sun went through Cancer. And when it conjuncted the Saturn, I don't have something there. When it conjuncted, that was towards the end of the war, during the war still. In 1955, when it conjuncted Alpha Lyra Vega, the star, he graduated and became a chemical technician and worked 2 years in the industry. I think it should be food industry. He worked in the industry, and then almost died of pneumonia shortly thereafter. That's something else. He's not showing up in the progressions, something else. But then when the progressions came up to square the Mars, he became a Jesuit. He left business, went to become a Jesuit. Then it moved along. By 68, it opposed his Pluto, his progress sun, and he was ordained to the priesthood. He took his celibacy vows. When it went along and it touched Alpha Aquila, and it touched that first star, he was ordained to the priesthood, professor of theology. When it squared the Uranus, until it conjuncted his Venus, he had legal battles, and he finally won it as it conjuncted his Venus. But this was disruptions and legal battles. Then it conjuncted his Moon. He became a rector and theology teacher. Then it went along. He was ordained as a bishop, nothing going on with the progressions, whether we've been in the transits. But when it goes into Virgo, this would be, so we're talking 3 years later, it goes into Virgo, 2003 conjuncted Fomalo, Alpha Pisces, Fomalo, the first star, don't have anything there, but by 2004, 2 he was the runner. So during this time he was running for papacy, and he was the runner-up when it touched the star, Alpha Cygnus. And then each of the stars have their numbers. So all the stars you can see, but the first magnitude right here, 2013 when it conjuncted the, I can't read it exactly right now, but when it conjuncted the next first magnitude star, he became Pope Francis. He became the Pope. So he was runner-up on the first star. He became the Pope on the next star. And when this was done, it was back when I hadn't done the 2006 or 2018. So he had the conjunction, he got control. He was pretty well in control by the time 3 years went by. His sun conjuncted the Saturn, progressed sun conjuncted Saturn. But by 2018, it's opposing Neptune, and this has been all the sex scandals and all the things coming up that he's had to deal with. And coming up to deal with it, then it's pretty clear run for a long time. So we haven't dealt with progressions yet, but all of this material that we're doing is expanding our sense of the zodiac and our sense of wonder and our openness to it. So it's not all defined by transits and natal chart, and it'll come together around the progressions. So that's the And I'm sorry it took a little extra time, but that's it for the Southern Hemisphere. Next week, we're going to deal with horoscopes for the 21st century, different ways of looking at different types of charts. And yeah, okay, I'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.